Anderson, the host of the LUPIT'S poll Instagram interview series, and today we're going to be talking to Jane Wilson. I'm really, really excited about the conversation. Jane opened her first pole studio in 2007 in Canada. She's a pioneer of our industry. I can't wait to chat with her about her beginnings and where she has gone from there. She's got a published book. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Jane beginners these days and has launched her online programs. I'm just loving what she's doing so much.
Hello, here
Hi.
I am.
How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
It's so good to see you. I'm really excited about our conversation today. There's so much to talk about.
There is, and I have questions.
I know, I saw that you have questions ready to go. I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so first of all, you opened your first pole studio in 2007.
Well, I started 2007, and then I opened my first pole studio like 2008. So it was June 2008. So just under a year on the pole, and then I decided that, hey, I want to be more a part of this. So we just took the leap.
Back then in 2007, what was going on in the pole world?
So back in 2007, we had YouTube. That's what we had. We had YouTube. It was Felix Kane and Katrina, the vertical ballerina, were who we were following. Katie Coates was who we were following on YouTube. And there was only just a few pole studios around, and they were very underground. And so it wasn't like how it is now, but we had YouTube to connect with each other and to share moves. And that's kind of where the community really began. So I've always said, thank heavens for YouTube. Because that's what really helped all of us get connected.
Oh my gosh, back in the days of YouTube, I remember, going on and watching Carol Helms videos.
Carol Helms. Red Key 71. Red Key 71 and Red Key 71.
Right. Yeah. I should really have her. I should really interview her on here. It would be so awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how did you find pole dance?
So I found pole dancing. I wanted to do something because I was feeling very stuck. I had my children. I was running a home daycare, and a friend encouraged me to, hey, let's go take a pole dancing lesson. And at the time, there was a studio right down the road that had just opened up. And I will totally own this. I was that person that was like, what? Like, I always own how negative I was about it because I was very caught in my own rules. And my friend was like, it's just an hour, and I'll pay for it. So I'm like, all right, I'll go. And if I don't like it, then I'll go to jazzercise. Well, here we are 15 plus years later. So definitely it's when you put those rules for yourself in and you stick with them, that's what holds you back. So when you break those rules, you never know what will open up for you.
Wow, you were in, early childhood, home education. How old were your kids when you on pole?
Brendan was just around 2. Yes, he was just around 2, and Maddie was just shy of 5.
Wow.
Now they're like 22 and 8, and they're both off the university. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh my, that is the coolest. Okay, tell me about the book that you wrote.
So I wrote a book back in 2021 during the pandemic. I released a book called The Up to No Good Club, Defining Your Life with Strength and Swagger, because I realized I had been, through these years of being in the pole world and pole community, I had been witness to so much transformation. And so I started gathering stories of people who have transformed their lives, who've broken rules, who've embraced their sexy side, and released the book. And it was just a wonderful experience. And I always say that feeling sexy in your life is something that majority of people want to feel, but we have all these rules that we place into ourselves that, no, I'm not supposed to do that. So the book was really about, it's okay if you want to feel sexy. It's okay to feel this way.
Yes, I love that. It's so cool that you finally got that going. That was a pandemic project, or?
It was started before the pandemic. It took about 3 years to write. Wow. And then it was supposed to be launched 2020, but then the pandemic happened, so we held it back. And then I just said, you know what, let's let it out to the world so we can help more people.
Yes, and I know that you've been teaching pole since 2008. You
Mm-hmm.
had your studio and everything, teaching all levels way back in the day, in the
Oh
early
yeah.
pole. And then recently, in the last couple years, you have really honed in on your online business and focusing
Mm-hmm.
on beginners. So tell me about that business.
Well, I've done it all. Like I've I've ran gone all of it. Like when somebody comes up with the next big move and the next big move and the next big move, I was like, okay, I have to keep going. I have to keep going. And then finally I realized, how can I best serve this community? And the best way I can serve this community is if I play in beginner land and keep sharing all of my knowledge and information so that when you start a beginner, you have a really solid foundation so that when you get stuck in the I'm not good enough, or when you see something on Instagram of somebody jumping from one pole to the next, and you're like, I got to try that. It's like slow down and stay in your own lane and just enjoy pole for yourself and don't have to keep trying to keep up with everybody. So that's why really the beginner pole dancing account was created during the pandemic, because I just wanted people who are starting the pole just to love it and enjoy it and use it as an escape.
Yes, what's so cool and amazing to me is, people like you who have such a wealth of wisdom and years and years of polling under your belt, deciding to go and serve the beginners. Because I really feel like those beginners are it's so important how the
Mm-hmm.
beginner journey is. And with someone with such a wealth of experience, being able to bring that to beginners. I mean, I always say, the beginners have to have the most amazing teachers. Then
Oh
people get a
yeah,
little, more into intermediate and advanced. They start be able to take care of themselves a little
for
bit
sure.
better and make sense. But the beginner teachers need to be really good.
Well, we need to help them understand what's
Yeah.
realistic, and also to decide what works best for them. Because, like, I never got the Iron X because I have an issue with my elbow. So everyone's body is different, and so when you have somebody who says, work with your body and work with and do what works best for you, not what is the latest and the greatest.
Yeah.
So definitely having that person to lead you through so that you're able to make those decisions later on, like intermediate and advanced. You've already got your foundation in place.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about the Beginner Pole Dancer Summit. You are a
Yes.
featured speaker for the Beginner Pole Dancer Summit, which is actually starting up, oh my gosh, what is it? A week and a half? Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. And so tell me about your presentation and tell me about your freebie, your free content that anyone who gets a free ticket can go ahead and grab.
Okay. So my workshop is called Bada Pole. I think it's like Bada Pole training strategies so that your pole doesn't end up on Facebook Marketplace. And so, because that happens.
Oh
What
yeah.
happens for a lot of students is you're excited, you get your pole, you bought your pole, you get it up, and then you're like, now what? And so often those poles end up going on Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji because you lose that momentum. Well, one of the key ways to keep your pole in your home and to keep playing on the pole is to have a solid foundation, having a strategy for your pole practice. So my workshop is all about all the tricks that I've used to continue training, to continue having fun on my pole. A lot of it is about gamification of your pole training, making it like play and having fun.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm seeing your educator come out, that early child educator. It's like, yes, when we gamify
Gamify.
things,
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
we're going to want to, make it happen. I have a toddler myself. I have a 4-year-old. So I'm in that land of, yeah, these things really work. These whole gamification,
Absolutely.
they work for toddlers. They work for adults.
Mm-hmm. So in the workshop, like there's a sheet that you can print off called Track Your Training, and it's like snakes and ladders. Like one of the trainers' motivational trackers is it's snakes and ladders. So every single time you train, you like put a star. And so yeah, so the ECE really did come out in this workshop for sure.
I just love that so much. Cool, cool. Well, I hear that you have we want to turn the tables because you have gotten a bunch of awesome questions from your followers
Yes.
about the Beginner Summit that's happening. and I'm here to answer all those questions.
Okay,
So
so one of the questions that has been coming up is, when it begins, when the Beginner Pole Dancer Summit begins, do you have to be present at that time to watch the workshops, or can you watch the training later on that evening? So if you're working, can you watch it later on in the evening or later the next day?
great question. So with the Beginner Pole Dancer Summit, there are 4 days, and on each of those days, those first 3 days, you've got about 8 to 9 presenters presenting on each day. We didn't want it to happen right at one time, so you would have to show up for that time. So actually the presentations are going to be available for 24 hours. So all of
Okay.
the presenters who are going live on the first day, no matter where you are in the world, you've got 7 a.m. PDT, Pacific time, to 7 a.m. the following day to consume that content.
Okay.
We split it up between 3 days. So I do highly suggest that you figure out and prioritize which of those presentations that you want to make a priority to hit those first within that 24-hour period. And we have a really fun quiz. If you get your free ticket, it'll send you an email that says, here's a quiz about the presentations that you should be prioritizing for the summit.
Okay.
So that's how that works. So go take that quiz.
Excellent, excellent. Another question I have, one of my clients had is, she goes, I'm not really a beginner anymore. I've been doing this for 4 years. Can I still attend?
I love this question so much. I got this question so many times in the first summit that we had in March. And absolutely, yes. I mean, my whole, what I was really gearing towards was that this event was going to be made specifically with beginner polers in mind. And because I feel like beginner polers don't have a lot of special things made just for them, right? So I really, when I was, putting it together and building it and, deciding who I wanted to have a part of it, it was all with that vision in mind. Now, that being said, once I started promoting the first run around that I did the summit, I got this exact question all the time. Look, these are incredible speakers that have years and years, probably hundreds of years altogether. If we put together all of our
if we share our stories of when we first started and we were taught to run to the pole to go upside down.
Yeah, like I mean, it's the cream of the crop of people that I've handpicked that I know are going to give just such incredible information to beginner polers. But who am I to tell you that you're not going to learn a bunch of stuff, even if you're an intermediate or advanced, or if you're a pole educator yourself, if you're trying better for your beginner pole students. So I did have a lot of people ask me that question, and my answer is this: the event is made for beginner polers, but that doesn't mean that a lot of the information that you will be receiving during the summit wouldn't be really valuable to people at any level.
For sure. And we all need a refresher. And I was like, we both are still learning. There's so much information, so much knowledge that's out there. So even if you've been doing pole for many years, it's such a wonderful opportunity to get that refresher and see a different perspective.
Absolutely. And like one of the things that I have on my to-do list is that I believe there's Shamika and Dan Rosen and a couple other of the speakers actually in the upgrade. They have put pole conditioning tutorials and classes. Nice. And I have it on my list to work through those. And I've been polling since 2010. I am ecstatic to go in and do some longs with some of these speakers. So yeah.
Now is Shamika's the one that's talking about the agelessness of pole?
That is Misha Saunders.
Misha Saunders. That's right. Apologies, Misha Saunders. Okay.
Bring the use your meat.
That's good. Yes.
Yes.
And so that one's specific for about inverts. And that one because inversions for beginners can be such a struggle, and there's so much, not misinformation, but to break it down even more. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I know. And this particular summit, we did, we've got such an incredible plethora of speakers. We have, Phoebe Armfield talking about polling postpartum and during pregnancy.
That's interesting for me because when way back it was looked differently to be polling when you're pregnant. So isn't that great that we're having this excellent discussion about this?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. The topics this time are blowing me away. Yeah.
So one of the other questions I had from one of my students is it going to be mostly talking workshops or will there be doing workshops?
This is a great question. So I on purposely arranged it in this way, and I'm going to show you exactly how. I figured that if it was going to be doing workshops, that it would be almost unkind to make them all doing workshops, because what if you can't do that in a 24? Right? I know that the majority of people who are coming to the summit are going to be like me. They're going to be picking up kids from school. They're going to be going to and from work, and within that 24-hour period. So a lot of it is informational. So there is some doing with the speaker presentations themselves, but all of the freebies for the presentations that you can download, there's a lot of doing. And what's wonderful than that, once you get the speaker's freebies, that is something that you now have. That's not something that you need to accomplish within 24 hours. So I almost felt like it would be unkind to put a bunch of doing classes and workshops on as the speaker presentations. So really what it's going to be is most of the speaker presentations are going to be talking about a lot of theory and technique and strategies, and then at the end of their presentation they're giving you a freebie that then you
go work on it.
Yes,
that's
exactly
cool. So we're going to give you the information, now you go do some work.
Exactly.
And you have that, you can take it with you.
Exactly. So that's kind of the vision surrounding that, because I know how many people would be like, wait, I really wanted to take that class, but it was only available for that amount of time and I couldn't make it to do it. So this way they can take it with them.
Okay, excellent. I think that's all the questions that I have. I think it is. Oh, I have one more question. So here's one more. So one person I've asked is am I going to meet up? So because it's a summit and it's online and you're in your own home, how do you connect with other people? How do you know if other people are on the summit? So is there some form of community or a way to connect with other pollers who are part of the Beginner Pole Dancer Summit? How do you know if somebody else is on it?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we do have a full-on private community for summit attendees only, and that is hosted on Facebook. So as soon as you get your free ticket, you get the link to join that community. And in addition, this is something that we did we did it in March, and for the summit in March, we did one of these specific live events for those who upgraded to the Pole Performer Success Pack. We gave them a Pole Buddies networking session where we actually go onto Zoom all together and we put you in breakout rooms and you answer a bunch of questions and you get to know people from all over the world. And we did one of those during the March summit, and it was so popular. Cool. People had such a good time that we immediately tried to fit another one in during the summit itself. And this time we learned. So now we have the Pole Buddy Zoom networking session happening 3 times during the summit itself. Different times of the day, because we had people tell us that, hey, I'm in Egypt, I can't make this one time. So we put them all over the place
worldwide,
so that we have like a 9 p.m. Pacific time one, we have a 7 a.m. Pacific time one, we have a middle of the day one, so that people get to know each other, get Pole Buddy jam partners from all over the world, so that they can, make friends and have accountability for showing up to their sessions and training with other people that have interests that are the same when it comes to pole, because there's so many different ways that you can go with pole. If you find people have some similar interests and be able to train with them no matter where they are in the world. So
Now there's been a question question from the Inferno Bar. Oh, that is a cool name. That's a cool name. How do I get a ticket, or how do I sign up? So the Inferno Bar, I can send you a link, and it's a complimentary ticket. So I will find you. I'll send you a DM, and for you to sign up.
Yes, Inferno Bar. What I want you to do is just DM Jane Wilson on Beginner Pole Dancing, and she'll give you everything you need. She'll give you the link, the ticket. She might have it in her bio, but Jane will give you the info.
For sure.
Yes.
And then I want to find out more about why you're known as the Inferno Bar.
I know. That's a cool name.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about this business that we have. There's so many cool different studio names. There's so many cool like Instagram names and everything. So yeah, it's always very creative. An interesting world that we live in.
Yes. Yes. This has been so great. Thank you so much, Jane. It was fun. It was super fun to interview you, and then for you to turn it on me. That was really cool. It's never happened here on the Instagram Live. So I love that.
So one last question before I get back on the pole. What is your hopes and dreams for this summit? For somebody to participate, what is your hopes and dreams for them?
Yeah, that's such a great question. To put it into as little words as possible is going to be a challenge. So I'll tell a story about it. I have owned a pole studio since 2011. And I, as like Jane, fell in love with it, what it did to change my life, how I saw it changing the countless students that I had, their lives, and the friends that I made. I mean, pole really changed my life. In many ways, I feel like it saved my life. And I'm just so grateful for the journey that I've had in pole. I've taught in over 30 countries. I toured nonstop for 6 to 7 years. I competed. It really became my life to share this. And one thing that really affected me really intensely was during the pandemic when my studio was shut down.
Okay.
And the summit was born during that time because I thought to myself, never have I gotten a phone call since 2011. Never have I gotten a phone call to the studio and someone said, I'm scared to do this. I'm scared to try this. I really want to try it. Can you teach me? And my answer since 2011, since I began, has been absolutely, I can teach you. And it really bothered me during the pandemic when I was getting these phone calls and my answer was, no, I can't teach you right now. I don't have a space. I'm not allowed to.
I can't have you come in. Yes.
Man, I have nothing to give you. And it messed with me. I mean, the pandemic really messed with me. I realized in that moment that, like, obviously this is my true purpose. I have to share this. It is not a choice for me. In order for me to be in my space and purpose in my life, I need to share this. So that's kind of where the virtual Beginner Pole Dancer Summit began.
Amazing. And what a time that we live in now, because like prior to the pandemic, learning online it didn't have the legs and the momentum that it does now. But now we are so open to sharing sharing more ideas and learning from each other. Like I was just on an online training session right before, and then I have another one after. Way before the pandemic, this was not a thing. Training online was not we had YouTube and you were by yourself figuring it out. It's such an incredible world now for pole.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic was just this huge time of pivoting, and one thing that was interesting during the pandemic is I was able to continue to run some of my intermediate and advanced classes online through Zoom, so I was doing that. But what I was not able to do was bring in fresh beginners wanting to know how to start and how to start well and how to be nurtured through that time in their training. So that was not something that I didn't have anything to those beginners. So that's why I kind of really focused this summit on them. And you know what?
Wonderful.
How many times do you hear someone you've talked about, someone asks you what you do, and you say, well, I teach pole dance, and they say, oh, I tried that, it was too hard, or I tried it and I couldn't do it, and you kind of get so sad because you're like, ooh,
Oh,
I really
I know. And you, oh yeah. Or I one time I had a lady come in and she had tried something in Vegas at her friend's house, and it was a cross knee release.
oh
And I'm like, how? And she goes,
you
yeah, she wanted to show me how to
failed.
pull.
Yeah, you didn't fail, you just
No,
didn't have the right instruction.
yes. There's like 40 steps prior
Yeah,
to that, 40 things before that, before you get to that. So
exactly.
absolutely.
So it's like that one thing, when someone comes in and you say, gosh, what is the gift I wish to give this bright-eyed and bushy-tailed beginner polar? And this is the gift. This is it, man.
Absolutely. 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 And for those who are starting pole or who've been pole for who are in that wonderful sensitive period, just know that enjoy it, love it, listen to what your body wants to do, and progress happens. It happens. When you show up to pole, you are progressing.
That's right.
And if you compare yourself to what somebody else is doing, then you're doing a disservice for your own journey. Um, I had a friend give me this one piece of advice. She goes, never compare somebody's current position to your beginning. So 15, 16 years of being on the pole, it's drilled into my body. So if you're just starting out and you're saying, oh, Jane's compass spin is so smooth, I do there's like 1,000 compass spins I've been doing to get to this point.
Yeah.
So just
Over 1,000 of them. So I hope they're better than
yeah,
you.
yeah. So just love for where you are and celebrate the fact that you are showing up to pole and you're putting yourself out there and you're going for it. Celebrate that.
Yeah, so true.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Jane. This was
Thank you.
super fun. And everyone, we will see you at the Beginner Pole Dancer Summit on September 20th. And Jane, keep spreading that beginner love. We love it so
Absolutely.
much.
I love it. Absolutely. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Mwah!